Hello crafty friends. In yesterday's video I created a ton of backgrounds using stamping foam, and today I'm going to use some of them to create some cards. Don't worry if you haven't got backgrounds, you can always use pattern paper for the techniques that I'm going to show you in today's video. So these are the backgrounds I've chosen to work with today. We've got some greens, some blues, a brown and a red, so a mixture of cool and warm tones. First things first, I chopped the white borders off of my backgrounds because I wanted to cover each background in sticky back plastic to give it a nice glossy finish. And I didn't want to waste my sticky back plastic by sticking it onto the white borders. So I cut a piece of the plastic. It comes on a roll and has a tendency to roll itself back up again. So I weighted down the corners with some heavy things that were on my desk. And then I gradually peeled off the release paper and placed my backgrounds face down onto the sticky plastic. Once I had them all stuck down, I cut them out individually with a pair of scissors. So out of my glossy backgrounds, I wanted to cut lots of squares. I've got two identical stitched square dies here. And so I got as many squares out of each background as I could. I think I got 6 out of each. And now they look like little tiles. If you get any wrinkles in your sticky back plastic, then just press down on them hard with a bone folder or something similar, and then they'll sort of disappear. So I actually made, I think, 6 cards using my tiles. I'm going to show you how I made the first one, and then after that I'll show you how the rest turned out. So I took a card blank made from linen textured white cardstock, and I arranged a bunch of my tiles down the left hand side of the card, leaving the right hand side empty. I tried to spread the patterns out a bit so that I didn't have 2 blues next to each other or 2 browns next to each other. Initially I thought I would only use the browns and blues and greens, but I decided to bring in a focal tile and use one of the red ones. To help me get everything arranged in an aesthetic way, I used my rule of thirds grid. I placed it on top of my card blank, made a pencil mark through the hole in the top left intersection, and then used my T-square ruler to draw across over that pencil hole. So I've now got that top left-hand intersection on my card blank. If you want to know how to make a rule of thirds grid, there is a video linked below. To glue my tiles down, I used high-tack white glue and my glue dotter. If you want to know how to make a glue dotter, there's a video about that linked below too. And then I placed my red tile over that intersection, making sure the points of the tile touched the lines that I drew. That way it was on the card in exactly the right place. After erasing the pencil marks, I then added glue to the back of all my other tiles and arranged them around that red tile. So the red tile is a star of the show and all the others are supporting actors. I chose to use wet glue for this because it gave me a bit of wiggle time. If I didn't quite get my tile in the right place, I could peel it off very easily and adjust its position. Once I had all my tiles in place, I used scissors to trim off the bits that were overhanging. I did keep these bits in case I wanted to use them on other cards. To create my sentiment, I used a mixture of dies. I used some capital letter dies to cut out the word happy. And I cut this from gold cardstock, but before I did, I put some 1mm deep foam tape on the back so that my letters would have some lift. Once I cut them out, I stuck them on in a higgledy-piggledy fashion, starting with the H on that red focal point tile. I then used a scripty font birthday die that was a lot smaller than the letters and cut it from the gold cardstock, but I didn't put foam on the back. So I've got a difference in size, a difference in style of font, and a difference in depth. And that's the first card finished. Do stick around for a couple more minutes and I'll show you the rest that I made. Here's card number 2. I chose to use brown and green alternating tiles, but I didn't just stick them on the card front. I stuck them on a piece of card and then trimmed the strip out. It just gives them a little bit of lift off the card front. I then mounted one of the pinky reddy tiles on another piece of linen textured white card and trimmed it down to give it a small white border. I placed this about a third of the way down the card in the middle, and then I added this love die that I cut from gold. I also cut it from white and I inlaid the letters inside there so that they show up really well. And for a bit of movement, to stop it feeling so static, I added some gold foil circles in a diagonal that way. For card number 3, again I stuck some tiles to a piece of card, this time in a square formation, and I trimmed it out, giving it a little white border again, and placed it in this top half of the card. I used the reddish tile for my focal tile, and I cut out a Love You heart-shaped die cut from the gold, but before I cut it out I mounted it on 1mm deep foam tape. This pink tile is also on a bit of foam tape, so it's got 2 lots of foam tape there, so we've got a lot of dimension going on. I didn't feel it needed any gold dots or anything. Everything is just drawing your eye to the middle there, and that's absolutely fine. To create a background for this that was interesting but not too attention grabbing, I chose 2 green tiles and placed them opposite each other, and 2 of the black and blue tiles and placed those opposite each other. If I'd done 4 different colours, I think it would be difficult for the eye to know where to focus. The idea for this card came from this sketch in the, I think it was July sketch booklet, which you can download from a link below. It really just gave me the idea for the 4 squares, and then I strayed quite a bit. I didn't put things on each square, I just put one in the middle, and the sentiment was this heart-shaped die cut rather than a separate word. The idea from this card came from this sketch. Again, I think this is the July sketch booklet, and it was just a cascade of squares with a sentiment on the bottom square. So I mostly followed the placement of the squares. I then added a gold feather die cut and some gold dots, smaller ones down here, larger ones up here. And for my sentiment I used, I think it's a Julie Hickey foilable. I didn't foil it, I just left it black on white because I thought that would stand out against the gold feather. And the red square isn't really the focal square. It doesn't drag the eye as much because the feather is so big and bold and gold. For my 5th card, I just chose 3 squares and put them in a row on this line here, a third of the way in from the right. Then I cut 2, I think they're kind of cow parsley-esque seed head die cuts from gold and popped them over the squares. I did add some Gold Coast Nouveau drops to these, just on the flower parts to give them a bit of texture. So there's clear dimensional varnish on top with a little bit of gold glitter in. Stops the die cuts looking so flat. I used the same drops here, here and here, and added a wishing you the happiest birthday sentiment. Again, a Julie Hickey foilable, I think. And that's sitting on that line there, a third of the way down from the top. And for my last card, I added 4 of these green stripy tiles in the background, alternating them horizontally and vertically on the way down. I then added 2 blue ones and the red one. So these really, the green ones are the background, then the blue ones draw the eye, as does the red one. I added some more gold foliage with some Gold Coast drops on the leaves and another foilable sentiment. And this is almost bang in the middle of the card. Right, there you go, 6 cards made with those backgrounds that I made in yesterday's stamping foam video. Hope you've enjoyed it, hope it's given you some ideas. If you'd like to see more from me, do subscribe and ring the notification bell, and I'll see you back here very soon for another video. Thanks for watching, bye for now.